Hello, welcome to the channel. Today's deep dive unpacks a jam-packed week where old ghosts resurface, sparks fly in claustrophobic spaces, and a single candle turns a dorm room into a disaster zone, setting Salem on edge from the town square to the DiMera boardroom. Stephanie's uneasy morning. Alex Kiriaki's clocks Stephanie Johnson's tension the minute he arrives, reading every flinch and sidelong glance the way only someone who's seen her armor crack before can do, and it rattles him enough to push for answers she's not quite ready to share. She drops a vague reference to a Horton cousin, just enough to confuse Alex but not enough to calm herself, because the name carries history, bruises, and a trail of unread messages she hoped would stay buried far from Salem. Jeremy Horton, the ex she never fully healed from, is back in town with a shiny job and a shadow that feels uncomfortably familiar. And Stephanie can't shake the sensation that someone's steps are matching hers in the square, closer with every turn. Jeremy at the threshold. Before Stephanie can thread a careful explanation together, the knock lands. A timing so on the nose it steals the breath from the room, and the face at her door looks like a memory flickering through old light. Jeremy, older, softened at the edges, but carrying that same gravity that once bent her days out of shape. Buzz in the fandom points to Michael Rourke as the likely recast, a hush-hush move that the show seems poised to spring amid October milestones, and the resemblance teased in promo chatter is enough to set speculation ablaze about how this confrontation rewrites Stephanie's present tense. If he's the man behind the knock, Stephanie's first test won't be a conversation. It'll be choosing which version of herself answers the door. The strategist, the survivor, or the author of a new chapter that refuses to center him. Past, printed, and public. Complicating the reunion is Stephanie's recent literary heat, whispers of a racy manuscript that fictionalizes real scars in ways that feel too precise for coincidence, drawing a dotted line back to Jeremy even before his boots hit Salem soil. The risk isn't just reputational. It's visceral, because the book turns private trauma into public subtext, and an ex with a temper and a scorecard tends to read between the lines with a match in hand, not a magnifying glass. Alex, ever the fixer when it comes to people he cares about, will try to broker calm, but if Jeremy is hunting validation or vengeance, or both, then the conversation will be less about apologies and more about boundaries enforced in daylight with backup a phone call away. An elevator becomes a confessional. Across town, the blackout lingers, trapping EJ DiMera and Belle Black in an elevator that turns into a confessional booth once the emergency lights hum and the white noise quiets their defenses. EJ, stripped of advantage by circumstance, goes for truth over tactics and admits that his feelings for Belle never truly cooled. A reveal that reorients old unfinished business while the car dangles between floors and time slows enough for honesty to land. Belle's reaction is a mix of shock and the calculus only a lawyer can do in a heartbeat. Context, cost, precedent. And the question floating between them isn't whether there's chemistry but whether the moment is a spark or a relapse once the doors open and reality rushes back in. Chad and Kat turn up the heat. While EJ and Belle circle the past, Chad DiMera and Kat Green heat up the present, pushing their almosts into action as their rapport crosses an unmistakable line in the darkened cityscape. Chad's done pretending this is incidental. He's ready to take the romance public, to tell the family and own the risk that comes with attaching the DiMera name to a woman who's been both ally and disruption in equal measure. Yet the orbit around Kat is never simple. Whispers of ISA errands, odd budget cuts, and EJ's hospital games suggest she's dancing on hot coals, and Chad's heart may be stepping onto a floor wired for missteps he won't see coming until they spark. The candle that changed the night. At Salem an ordinary candle becomes the week's loudest siren when Holly Jonas, drowsy and delirious from intoxication, nudges it into an overstuffed trash bin, and the papers inside turn into instant kindling. Smoke threads the air before the alarm screams, and for a terrifying stretch Holly is asleep through the danger. The room converting from cozy cocoon to hostile furnace, while the hallway stays deceptively quiet. Brady Black arrives in time to smell what everyone else misses. Panic's first draft, and outside the building Tate Black moves from restless worry to full-blown fear when Ari Horton blurts the detail that matters most. Holly never left the room. Brady's nose, Tate's heartbeat. Brady's instinct and history with disaster narrow his focus, because Salem has taught him that the thing not seen yet is the thing to sprint toward, and smoke has a way of telling truth even when witnesses can't. Tate's panic isn't teenage drama. It's the dawning realization that the line between a scare and a tragedy is one closed door, one jammed handle, one delayed alarm, and he's not about to let randomness decide the ending if there's a way to rewrite it with his own two hands. Ari's tip transforms confusion into a plan, a crude map with one blinking red X, and the clock starts ticking with every breath Holly doesn't take and every second the hallway fills with heat. Power out, masks off. The citywide outage acts as a stress test for Salem's relationships. Take away the lights, and people default to truth or to habit, and both can be dangerous in close quarters. EJ chooses confession over calculation. Chad chooses declaration over discretion. Stephanie chooses vigilance over vulnerability, even as the knock at her door dares her to fall back into patterns she barely escaped. In each plotline, the dark isn't just an obstacle but a catalyst, proof that when Salem goes quiet, hearts speak up, and sometimes they say too much or just enough, depending on who's listening outside the frame. The Jeremy variable. Should Jeremy's return harden from rumor into fact, Salem's social gravity will shift, and not just for Stephanie, because Hortons and Johnsons carry shared memory like a civic archive. A reformed persona would complicate the narrative, new job, cleaner edges. But redemption without restitution rings hollow to anyone who paid the original price, and Stephanie's boundaries are likely to be the line in the sand no matter how many olive branches he waves. Expect Steve Johnson to read the tea leaves faster than most and for Alex to play active shield, because Salem may thrive on second chances, but it rarely grants them on the first ask and never without receipts. Fallout forecast. By week's end, look for 3 immediate aftershocks. Stephanie confronting her past on her terms, preferably in public daylight with witnesses and a paper trail. Chad signaling there's no turning back in his romance with Kat, even as undercurrents threaten to pull at the edges, and Brady and Tate dealing with the aftermath of the dorm fire, which will likely ignite more than sprinklers. Rules, consequences, and parental lines drawn in fresh paint. EJ and Belle's elevator truth won't stay sealed. Someone always hears, and in Salem the walls are made of rumor and recollection. So any confession is a fuse as well as a salve. Through it all, the blackout will fade but the choices made in the dark will glow for weeks, proving again that Salem's quiet moments are never quiet for long, and that a single spark, emotional or literal, can rewrite a season overnight. Next, Days of Our Lives recap. Salem's blackout chaos sparks revelations, raves, and new fears. Friday, September 26, 2025. A city in the dark. When a city loses its light, shadows fall in more ways than one. Salem is still struggling in the aftermath of its sudden blackout, and while most people are trying to cope with the simple inconveniences, no traffic lights, no steady power, and a community stumbling through darkness, beneath the surface, personal battles and long simmering secrets begin to unfold. And in typical Days of Our Lives fashion, what starts as a night of confusion and worry quickly spirals into something far more dramatic. Whispers of romance, threats of stalkers, and an impromptu rave that no one saw coming. Chanel steps into comfort mode. As the episode opens, Chanel finds herself playing the role of comforter. The blackout has shaken Salem, and Felicity, caught in the middle of the chaos, seems particularly vulnerable. In the dim plaza, where the absence of traffic lights has turned once bustling intersections into hazards, Chanel does her best to soothe her. The danger is real. Without electricity, every street crossing feels like a gamble, but Salem's small-town geography keeps people connected. After all, nearly everyone lives within walking distance of the square, and so the plaza has become a kind of gathering point, a hub where neighbors can look out for each other. It's in this unsettled atmosphere that Alex Kyriaki strolls into view, his energy as brash as ever despite the literal and figurative darkness pressing in on Salem. He's headed toward the pub, one of the few places still offering a semblance of comfort in these trying hours, and he quickly invites Chanel and Felicity to join him. A pub lit by glow sticks. The Brady Pub, long a safe haven for Salem residents, has transformed into something unexpected. With power out and no neon signs to guide the way, Roman Brady improvises. Lanterns, candles, and glow sticks provide light. The room feels half survival shelter, half carnival. The smell of warm food offers comfort, but the playful glow of July 4th party supplies left over from earlier celebrations shifts the mood from fear to something bordering on festive. Alex, ever the opportunist, doesn't let the chance for mischief slip by. With Felicity's youthful energy, Chanel's charisma, and the colorful glow sticks lighting up the darkened room, he suggests a wild idea. Why not have a rave? A silent rave of all things, with headphones and glow-in-the-dark bling. It's absurd, almost surreal. The city is reeling from a blackout, but Alex spins the chaos into a makeshift celebration. From blackout to dance floor. Soon, the pub transforms. Alex, Chanel, and Felicity don sparkly sunglasses and string colorful beads around their necks, waving glow sticks like they're headliners at an underground nightclub. To outsiders, it may seem juvenile, even reckless, but for the customers who watch, laughter bubbles up. Salem, usually suffocating under drama and secrets, finds a moment of unexpected levity. The trio scream and cheer, their voices bouncing through the darkened room. They turn what could have been a night of fear into a show of resilience. Yet, as the rave builds, one can't help but feel that this joy is fragile, a temporary distraction from deeper troubles brewing beneath the surface. When Felicity steps outside for fresh air, the tone shifts. Alex seizes the chance to steer the conversation in a different direction, one that feels heavier, more personal. He mentions the collaboration with Body and Soul, a project that once held promise but is now loaded with regret. Chanel bristles. She admits she's been trying to forget about it. It's one of those storylines where Salem's party atmosphere collides with personal baggage, reminding everyone that behind the glow sticks, real wounds remain. Roman drops a bombshell. Roman eventually arrives with Alex's takeout order, but as is often the case in Salem, a simple exchange of food turns into a revealing conversation. Roman, a man who has carried his fair share of family trials, unexpectedly begins to open up about adoption. His story, his perspective, and his belief in second chances. The discussion quickly pivots toward Chanel. Roman, with his characteristic warmth, doesn't just serve food. He serves hope. He tells Chanel and Johnny that he sees qualities in her that would make her an incredible mother. His words are more than polite encouragement. They're a subtle blessing, a recognition of Chanel's strength, compassion, and the life experiences that have shaped her into someone capable of nurturing others. For Chanel, who has been dancing through uncertainty and clinging to moments of light in the darkness, this affirmation carries weight. In a city that thrives on secrets, betrayals, and constant upheaval, being seen as a potential mother figure is a rare and grounding compliment. The gathering storm beyond the glow. While Salem's blackout sparks laughter in the pub, other corners of town tell a different story. Stephanie's growing unease suggests that something darker is lurking. The whispers that she may have a stalker take root, casting shadows even darker than the city's blackout. Meanwhile, the duo known as Zara appears poised to make a big move, one that could shift alliances and shake the very foundation of relationships already stretched thin by secrets. What makes this episode stand out is the duality at play. On one hand, you have residents turning a blackout into a party, dancing away their fears with glow sticks and music only they can hear. On the other, the same blackout has created an environment where danger thrives, where stalkers can lurk in shadows and major players can plot bold moves without fear of being immediately discovered. Closing thoughts. Salem in the dark. Friday's episode of Days of Our Lives reminds us that Salem is never just about one storyline. The blackout serves as a backdrop for everything from impromptu joy to creeping dread. Chanel's role as comforter and potential mother highlights themes of resilience and growth. Alex's antics show the community's ability to turn chaos into fun, however fleeting. Roman's heartfelt words give us a glimpse of hope, grounding the chaos with something deeply human. And yet, in true Salem fashion, just as laughter fills the pub, a storm of secrets, threats, and big moves waits outside in the shadows. If this night has proven anything, it's that darkness in Salem isn't just about the absence of electricity. It's about the ever-present dangers, desires, and dreams of those who live there. The question remains, when the lights come back on, what will Salem's residents truly see? Would you like me to expand this even further into a multi-part recap-style article, with separate sections dedicated to Stephanie's stalker arc, Zara's schemes, and Chanel's possible motherhood future, so it feels more like a magazine-length breakdown than a single recap?